Welcome to our online catechesis, The Journey from Death to New Life in Christ. This is module 1.2 on the rise of the law. How and why do laws work? First, I'd like to begin with a personal story. A friend of mine from college who was deeply involved in the political science program decided after college that he was going to join a utopian community, which he did. It was intended to be a self-sufficient community that was environmentally conscious and also a bit of a libertarian community in that they sought to have little to no laws. The community only functioned for a brief period of time until it was dissolved. It literally fell apart because no human community can exist or even thrive without laws. So what are laws? Well, as Lutherans, we say that we have three types of laws, or that laws have three use. First, there's the law that we're accustomed to. It's civil law. We say that there are basically two kingdoms in which we live. The kingdom on the left, which is of this world, that's governed by the law. The kingdom of the right, it's governed by the gospel, which we would say is the parousia, the second coming of Christ or heaven. And the church is that portal that exists in the kingdom of the left, but yet is a view of the kingdom on the right. So the first use of the law is there to prevent public outbreak of wickedness. Every time a police officer enforces a traffic law, that police officer is essentially acting as the left hand of God, ensuring that civil society is ordered. The second use of the law is sometimes likened to a mirror. It exists so that we might gaze into it and realize, as Luther points out, that we as human beings break every one of the 10 commandments numerous times during the day, and so when we see ourselves in this light, that law then drives us to the gospel, in a sense. It shows us our necessary need of God's acceptance and love. Then there is a third use of the law. It's a fancy word, sanctification. This is the use of the law in which human beings are invited to be co-creators with God, to live out God's will for humanity, for the sake of the neighbor and for the sake of the world. This is the type of law in which, say, the Greek Orthodox Church would say, leads to the process of theosis. That is, we are born in the image of God, but then through the work of the Spirit helping us to live as God intended, we are eventually made over into the likeness of God. So, think about these things. Think about an example of the first use of the law. What kind of laws exist to prevent a public outbreak of wickedness and to keep society ordered? Think about an example of the second use of the law. How does the law work and function in a way to show us our own unworthiness so that we might cling to the love of God? And think of the third use of the law. What ways are the laws used in which to help us further lead godly lives? And finally, ask yourself this question. Is the law an imposition? That is, something that we are called to do that we really don't want to do? Or is it an invitation to live a life as God intended? Or perhaps, is it both? Thank you.